Well, welcome back to our updated beginner's guide to starting a city in SimCity. So let's just kind of recap what's going on, where we are. We started a city. We wanted to make sure that before we got into our specialization that we had a stable foundation set. So, of course, we put down roads, we got zones. We put down our major services such as power, water, sewage. We followed that up with garbage, health, fire, police. We have our town hall that we're close to upgrading. Our residents have moved in. They're still moving in. We've got commercial locations set up for them. We've got industry set up for them. They have, the industry has a place to ship their freight. We have our first oil well, and it has its own trade depot, of course, and it is its own contained neighborhood with its dedicated road to the roundabout. That's basically a recap, and it brings us up to where we are now. So, really, it's all about making sure that we continue on with keeping our residents happy. The good thing is now we have a good source of income to go along with our taxable income. So if you think about it, in our basic city guide, this is what we had to go with as far as making money for the city. Now what we've got is we've got a good steady export flow of crude oil. We're going to continue with adding more crude oil. There is a delivery truck that just left. But this extra set of funds is going to help us to continue to make changes and updates and evolve this city. We have a good bank account. Let's do this. Let's go to our trade depot. Let's add more capacity for oil. Just like before, we want to take our time, but let's add another oil well. Let's add it here. It's so important. You don't have to rush. It would be wonderful, yes, to immediately max out the oil pumps. But you never know what may come about. So we will wait. But we've got the beginnings of another oil well. Here comes a delivery truck. Let's pause. Crude oil delivery truck. Picking up crude oil for the global market. And look at where the truck is coming from. Came from region. And you always want to make it as easy as possible. Right now, we don't have a very dense city, but even when this city has a much larger population, you want to make it as quick and easy for the trucks to be able to get in and out of the city, because this is a significant source of income for your city. So it's leaving the city, and there is another 9,000 simoleons that we have just earned. So at this point, we could start to upgrade roads. We could add on more to our oil well. But there's another service that we want to add. And this is as good a time as any to start talking about adding it. And that is going to be starting the process of educating our residents. So education is very important. Yeah, we've got to get our power plants down first. But education, when you look at it, and it's important to look at this information. So, educated houses consume less power and water. Educated Sims are less likely to start fires. Educated houses create fewer criminals. Sims in educated buildings get sick less often. And there are so many wonderful benefits to education. That's why I always say you want to put education down. As you can see, all education options except for the grade school are unavailable to us. Let's look and let's think about the placement. So we have 2 roads already in place, but these roads serve the big purpose of getting our residents to the industrial area. So one thing that we can do, let's not add to that traffic going in that direction. Let's get some traffic going in a different direction away from industry. Let's go. Let's put down the grade school. We have the capacity, or we have the number of students that can be enrolled at 466. We currently can educate 150 students. So and from a cost standpoint, we may not be able to educate all students right now, but let's take a look at a set of classrooms. That's 200. So now we have the capacity to educate 350. It's going to cost more money, but let's go ahead and put down another module that brings down our bank account, but we are now capable of teaching all of the eligible students. We still need school buses. We have 1 school bus currently. Let's add another school bus. And now what we need for grade school, we need school bus stops. We want to make sure we've got good school bus coverage. We are spending a lot on this grade school, but that is temporary. Once we get to the point where we can switch over to community college, we will. And we will talk more about education shortly. But now what we need to do is we need to build back up our funds. That's why it's so important to leave some money in the bank. but we are bringing in a really nice profit from taxes. And let's not forget, this dollar amount is separate from the monthly transaction dollar amount. So this profit and loss, this dollar amount here, is what we're bringing in taxes minus what we're spending for power, water, government, education, fire, police. So we are bringing in a bit more than we are spending. And then you factor in this dollar amount. This is the difference between our last beginner's guide and this current updated beginner's guide. Is now that we've got a specialization going on, it's bringing in some additional funds for the city. So it's important to go through your statistics. It's important to take a look from time to time how you're doing. As you can see, we're going to need to address electricity. We're doing well with water. We're doing well with our sewage. So now when it comes to electricity, we knew this was going to happen. We don't have a lot of wind here, and a wind power plant does not make a lot of power. So let's take a look and see. We have the option. We can either spend more money on a turbine that very soon we're going to tear down, or we can go ahead and take a bigger hit financially on an oil power plant. Let's do the oil power plant. And remember, oil power plant, just like the other items that create pollution, we do not want to affect the city. So let's stay out here. We can place it. Now you can see the red. We won't be able to add a module behind it, but there's plenty of opportunity to add modules to the left and to the right. So let's just place it here. When you place a power plant such as the oil or the coal power plant, it's really important to remember when you plop it down, this oil power plant comes with oil already added, but that oil is going to start to disappear. Yes, we are drilling oil from the ground, but at some point we're going to run out of that oil. You always want to remember to click global deliveries of crude oil. That way oil gets brought in, because if you don't do that now, more than likely what's going to happen is you're going to forget, and then you're going to have a problem with power. That is our first major upgrade to our basic services. We're going to be upgrading sewage, we're going to be upgrading water, but the power is the first one that needed to be upgraded. We're just waiting for there. It's hiring, wonderful. Now, the money that we're spending simoleons on this. Not a lot, but we are spending simoleons. So let's get rid of that. It's 3:30 a.m. School starting at 6 a.m. our first school day. Of all of the comments, of all of the questions, and a large amount of questions revolve around education. So I want to make sure that we cover education in this tutorial. So if you will look, you will see we have 466 students that are not enrolled in school. So 466 eligible to go to school. Let's click on our data. Let's click on education. When you look at this map, you will see all of these households with purple. And that purple represents students that are not enrolled. So 2 students there, 2 students there, 2 students there. It says kids, but do not let that throw you off. We're going to talk about that shortly. If you look at each house, you will see that the house is white. The way education works, and this is part of making people happy, in about an hour and a half, the school buses will go out and start picking up students, taking them to school. They will get educated. They will come back home. And the ones that made it through that cycle, just like workers trying to attempt to go to work, if at the end of that day they're able to get their education, this will be green instead of purple. The following day, it's going to switch from green back to purple because they're now not enrolled again. You have to start the process over. But what's happening is they are getting education, and they are bringing education back to the home. School's in session. School bus is heading out to pick up students. Some of the students, if they're close, they will walk. And as you can see, some of the houses, you do not see that purple bar because those are students that are now enrolled in school. So if they live relatively close to the school, they will walk. See that? Green bar. We've got students waiting at a bus stop, but as you can see, we are going from every house having purple to now that purple is starting to dissipate as those students either start walking or catching a bus to school. We have some students that have successfully completed, and we have some houses that are starting. If you think about just making a deposit in a bank, they are depositing education back into the home. We're now down to just a handful of homes. We've got a lot of students waiting for a bus. Because they've made it to school. Those are all green. And then at the end of the school day, I do not see any more purple. Now it's just a matter of, do we have enough buses, especially some of these bus stops that are full of students. So that's an indication. This is a great data layer to look at to get an idea. Do we need more buses? Are the students making it to school okay? We have some students that gave up. The bus did not come in time to pick them up. We will try this again. Let's potentially add a bus stop there. Remember, we saw some students not quite making it in this area. Actually, it looks like some of them are trying again to catch a bus. But at some point, the school day will end, and if they didn't make it, that will stay purple. We were able to get all but one student enrolled. 465 students enrolled of 466. The school day is not over. We have one student here. We'll see if that student gives it another attempt. But overall, that is successful. School is over. Students have left and they're heading home. As they get home, we start to get these green indicators that show that they were successful in this one day of getting to school, getting education, and bringing that education back home. Eventually, this will all turn green for the night, and then at 6 a.m., we start the process all over again, and the green bars will go back to purple because the green was the day prior. The simulation is saying, congratulations, you got everybody in school to yesterday, but now you've got to get them back in school today. So it's just an ongoing cycle. All right, this is very important. The simulation does not progress students through the grades. So, yes, we have grade school. Yes, we haven't unlocked it yet. There's a high school, a community college, and a university. All the simulation sees are eligible students. So you could, if you wanted to, you could place nothing but grade schools throughout the city and you would take care of the educational needs of all students. Or you could just put purely high schools and take care of the educational needs of all the students. Grade school and high school will provide education to the city. A community college and or a university not only provides education but tech level, and we'll talk about tech level later. So if you watch me play, you will notice that I have nothing but community colleges in my city, and that is because they teach a large number of students economically. This grade school, as we get more and more students, because what I'm trying to accomplish is I'm trying to get to the point where I teach 800 students in a day. We're at 466. Once we get to 800 students, I unlock the community college. And once I unlock the community college and place it, that's what you're going to see. You're not going to see me use, more than likely, a high school unless we do it for demonstration purposes. We will revisit education. It's very important to cover it because I get so many questions and comments about education. While we were working on education, we have been building up simoleons. So let's spend We only need a few more. There, we now have 2 oil wells completely full. Let's add more. Let's take a look at our we could get another. Let's do a road. Now it's interesting. Look at that. That is a backup. And of all the backups, it's at a 4-way intersection. Now, yes, it's where traffic is coming in, but they do struggle with 4-way intersections. We do have some traffic backing up the dirt road because of its low density. Traffic does not flow as freely as it would on a higher density road. So we are going to be soon upgrading roads. The other thing that we can do is we can start paying off these bonds, which is going to up what we're earning per hour. So our second morning of school, green just switched to purple. 6 a.m. All of those educated students, because it's a new day, we have to start that process over of getting them from home to school, educated, and then bringing the education back home. We have available jobs. This is a great time to add more residents. We're going to add more commercial. We are now approaching the point where this city needs a better roadway or an upgraded roadway. Let's go to our road upgrade tool. Let's click on dirt. We're going to take it to low density. We're going to work on the major roads. Such as this one. And this, it may not look like it, but it's our main highway, if you will. You'll see as soon as we make that change, the simulation moves the cars a bit quicker. What we're earning per hour is allowing us to keep up. So we're spending money to upgrade the roads, but we're earning money as well because we didn't pause. So as you can see, I'm upgrading the roads that are the most important roads. The roads in between here are not as critical as my arteries between neighborhoods or my roundabout. This is optional, but we'll go ahead and do it. We really didn't make a huge dent in our budget, so we can continue on. Let's take a look and see what our density. You see that green? If you think about it, this part was younger than out here. So what the game is saying is you've done a good job. The people are happy enough where they will up their density. Well, nothing's going to happen at first because we're still in low. Dirt and low density are the same. But if we wanted to, we could start upgrading homes from single family to multifamily. Now we have ourselves a city that's looking more and more respectable, if you will. You just take your time. I know you want the city. I know people want the city to look like a city immediately. But that process of going quickly can get you into trouble. Let's upgrade this. I'm not sure if we're even going to need this, but we may put our headquarters there. We'll see. Look at that. Wonderful. Wonderful. We do want this to be a highway eventually. We may take some of these roads and make them highways. And the other thing that we want to do is we want to expand. We've got a lot of space here where we can do more residential. Let's go ahead. We've got space for it. What we are creating another little industrial area. Because before I start expanding and bringing in more residents, I want to make sure that I've got jobs for them. I don't want to stress out that road. The thing that I want to be careful about is creating a four-way. So what we could do is branch. We have the money. We can afford it. I want to be careful. That's starting to fill up. I want to make it so that we're not just dumping the garbage, we're burning the garbage. The other thing that we want to look at, it's 10 a.m. How much garbage are we collecting? We are nearly halfway finished with our garbage collection and it's not even noon. So that's a good sign that we are staying ahead of garbage. Let's start working on another neighborhood. Now, we want to do a couple of things. Let's feed this neighborhood off the roundabout, for one. And let's make it easy and let's demonstrate raising roads because we need to get these students to school and let's not stress out this intersection in order to get students to school. So I'm on a PC. On a PC, raising a road is M. Lowering a road is N. Not all maps will let you lower. It depends on if it's close to the water. So if it's close to the water, I think the way they designed it so that you would hit water table. So let's do and now we have a bridge. I do not want to put residents in yet. Let's let this build up and then we'll start putting in residents. The other thing that we can do is we can slowly start the process of upping. But I want my industrial buildings to get in place because I don't suddenly want to change that dynamic. The other thing that you can do is if you've got a lot of low wealth jobs and not a lot of medium, you can change the wealth level. I have a pretty good balance of available jobs here. I'm out of balance here until I have more jobs. I'm not going to start changing the wealth level within the city. If you'll look carefully, the houses, some of these houses are starting to take on ever so slightly a green tint to them. See that? That's because we are now, what is this, day 2 or day 3 of education? So all of the students are coming home and they are making a deposit. They're depositing education into the home. Eventually, the homes will be a solid green color, which will indicate many days of successful education, of a successful educational cycle. We have some houses that are starting to transform. So they're going to transform from single family to multifamily. So within this footprint, we're going to be able to get more households, and our population is going to go up. I think it is safe to start putting in, let's just go for it, as they drive to and from, let's put in some commercial, because remember, as they're coming to and from work, we want them to shop. Our city continues to grow and evolve. We've made a lot of progress, but there's more yet to come. So when we come back, we've got to continue to focus our efforts on our specialization. We've got to continue to grow the city, upgrade roads. We have to make upgrades to town hall. We've got to continue to educate more and more students. We need to eventually start having a conversation about tech level. We've got to set up mass transportation. So there are things that we've got to work on, and we'll get started working on them when we come back in our next episode of our updated beginner's guide to SimCity.